Your mother never told you what really happened the day you were born. Heaven is ready to lift the veil and let you see the spiritual truth behind your origin. Be ready for what this message will uncover. Archangel Michael says, "The sky above you shifted the moment you entered this world. What you were told about your birth was only the outer shell of a divine secret sealed in the spirit realm. There is something your mother never found the strength to reveal, and the heavens are now breaking silence. The room you were born in carried more than the cries of a newborn. It carried ancient energy that summoned angels and something darker, something waiting. Your cries were not just of a baby, they were a signal, a sound recognized by forces that have battled for generations." On that day, time paused for a brief second as something sacred stepped through a crack in the spiritual veil. Your arrival brought light into a place that had once been ruled by shadows. Before you opened your eyes, your spirit had already pushed against chains that were meant to be unbreakable. A spiritual contract had been drawn before your soul entered flesh, and today, that truth is being unsealed. There were two people in the room not mentioned in any hospital report. One wore white, with wings so wide they touched both corners of the ceiling. The other stood in the shadow of a wardrobe, hiding its face, whispering lies, but it could not stop your entry into the world. Type Amen to get blessing 333. There was thunder outside, though no clouds were seen. The wind knew your name before any human ever called it. A silence fell over your mother just before she pushed, not from fear, but because she heard a voice no one else heard, a voice that said, "Protect this one." Your mother wasn't alone during labor, even if everyone else left the room. A woman with silver hair entered and touched her shoulder. That woman was never seen again, and your mother convinced herself she had imagined it, but her touch lingered for days. The woman who touched her was not of this world. She had been assigned to assist in your birth and to block an interference already present in the building. Something dark wanted to replace you, but it failed. You were almost exchanged the moment you came out. A figure cloaked in medical clothing had tried to take you to a different wing, but a nurse, whose hands glowed without her knowing, stepped in and interrupted the switch. Type Amen to get blessing 445. Your mother cried uncontrollably for reasons she couldn't understand. She later called it postpartum confusion, but deep inside, she knew it was spiritual. Her soul remembered something her mind wasn't allowed to hold. She had dreams for months before your birth. Dreams she never told anyone about, of a white lion circling her belly, of flames that didn't burn, of a man with wings standing beside her bed at 3 a.m. Your mother was visited because heaven had chosen you to correct something generations before you had broken. You weren't just born, you were delivered under heavenly command. There was a scroll sealed in gold light hovering above your body at birth. Only 3 beings saw it. One wept, one smiled, and one screamed and vanished into the wall. Your father was present, but there's a truth about him you still don't know. His blood carries both blessing and curse, and your birth was meant to tilt that scale. On that day, the curse tried to win, but your very first breath shattered its grip. Type Amen to get blessing 535. Your hands were clenched, but your fingers were glowing. That glow faded quickly, but the memory of it remains in one nurse who still talks about the child with the golden fists. She was told to never speak of it, but she wrote it in her private journal. The energy in the room shifted so sharply that light bulbs flickered. The machines slowed down for 3 seconds, freezing the heartbeats on screen. Every spiritual being nearby held their breath, for your soul had brought with it ancient authority. Archangel Michael says, on the day you were born, your name was echoed in 3 different realms. One welcomed you with open arms. One prepared to test you from the start. The last? It feared you. There's a reason you've always felt like there's something different about you. Something watching. Something waiting. It's because you were born on a spiritual crossroad, where destiny meets danger, and only one survives. Type Amen to get blessing 1022. The woman in silver came back to see you 2 nights later. She stood at your crib and whispered an activation word into your tiny ear. That word remains asleep inside you, but it is starting to awaken now. Your mother heard footsteps every night for the first 7 nights after bringing you home. She searched, but no one was there. Eventually, she stopped searching and began praying, unsure why. The air in your nursery felt like both fire and calm. You did not sleep like other babies. You stared at the ceiling for hours, eyes wide, unblinking, as if you were listening to instructions. In those moments, your spirit was still between realms, preparing for what was coming. A stranger once knocked on your mother's door months after your birth. He claimed he was there to check on the starborn. She didn't understand and sent him away. But that man left a feather on the doorstep, one that shimmered for hours before fading. Type Amen to get blessing 799. Your cries were not only cries, they were summons. One night, your cry shattered a vase on its own. The next morning, your mother received an anonymous envelope containing a map and the phrase, "Hide this child in light." You've always wondered why your life has carried moments of chaos that made no sense. Why you feel surrounded by blessings one moment and betrayed the next. This is the residue of that day. The battle that began around your birth still sends echoes today. There was someone in your family who wanted you not to be born. A person who feared what your arrival would mean to the secrets they kept. They tried to spiritually interfere, but they didn't expect heaven to defend you so forcefully. This person later suffered strange dreams and began to avoid you as you grew. Not because they hated you, but because your presence reminded them of the moment their power began to fail. That day, your light began to dissolve their hold over your family. Type Amen to get blessing 111. You were named under spiritual pressure. Your true name, your heavenly name, differs from the one you use now. That name was spoken once during your first cry and has not been heard since, but it rings in the ears of spirits. Archangel Michael says, the moment your eyes opened, the veil began to lift over a story that has waited many lifetimes to continue. You are not here by coincidence. You were sent into a timeline that required interruption, and you are that disruption. You may have faced hardships in your early life, but those were spiritual booby traps laid in advance. Darkness tried to sabotage your path by bending your surroundings. But your inner compass, no matter how buried, always pulled toward truth. The reason you've been called too sensitive is because your soul never shut its spiritual eyes. You see what others ignore. You feel what others suppress. This isn't a flaw. It's proof that the veil never fully closed over you. Type Amen to get blessing 666. Your mother once woke up and found a small scroll placed near your pillow. She burned it, thinking it was witchcraft, but it wasn't, it was prophecy. And by burning it, she delayed your awakening by years. That delay is over now. The divine clock has restarted. The things you have forgotten will now begin to return. Not all at once, but piece by piece, like echoes rising from a deep well. And with each memory, your power will return. You have an ability to reverse spiritual contracts that have plagued your bloodline. This is why you've always faced unusual resistance, because systems built on lies crumble when truth-bearers awaken. And you, child of the storm, were born to awaken them. Type Amen to get blessing 442. The hospitals won't have the full story. The witnesses who were there won't remember it all. But heaven has the entire record, and it's opening it now. When you were taken for your first bath, the water around you turned warmer than it should have. The nurse said nothing, but the next day, she requested a transfer to a different department. Your energy had touched her, and she couldn't forget it. There is a mark on your body that holds spiritual significance. It may look like a birthmark, but it is more than that. It is a seal, a lock that only light can open. Your mother may have forgotten some of these signs, but her soul hasn't. That's why sometimes she stares at you silently, eyes filled with thoughts she cannot explain. She knows you carry something she can't protect forever. Type Amen to get blessing 355. The woman in silver was never assigned to another birth after yours. Her mission was complete. And now, she waits at the edge of your destiny for the day you'll remember her and call her name. Your dreams lately, they are not dreams. They are rehearsals. Rehearsals for a spiritual war you were born to interrupt. You weren't just born into a family, you were born into a battle. But this battle ends with you. Not in violence, but in revelation. In your awakening, others around you will awaken too. Archangel Michael says, you were born to shake foundations. That's why your voice carries weight. Why your presence shifts rooms. Why people react to you even when you say nothing. Type Amen to get blessing 888. The darkness that tried to take you that night has been watching from afar, waiting to see if you remember. It fears that you will. Because when you do, the chain it placed around your bloodline will fall. Your true guardians have been closer than you think. One has been protecting your sleep. One has been opening paths you never knew were blocked. And one has been whispering to you through signs, animals, numbers, and colors. Every strange coincidence you've ever had was planned. Every near-death experience was intercepted. Every loss you mourned was a necessary delay. You're not late. You're arriving right on time. Type Amen to get blessing 1212. The memory of your birth may feel distant, but your spirit remembers every moment. The veil is thinning now. You will start seeing more, knowing more, remembering more. You were never forgotten. You were placed in divine hands, even when human ones let go. That's why your soul never gave up. The things that tried to destroy you were only testing what they feared. And what they feared was you. Your birth changed everything. And soon, so will your awakening. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. You were born into a war that existed long before you took form. But unlike others who came before you, you were sent with clearance, permission from heaven to interfere. Your arrival was not just anticipated, it was watched, by light and darkness alike. One of your ancestors made a pact in desperation, long ago. That pact allowed something unholy to pass through generations. But on the day you were born, that pact began to unravel, because you carried a seal that could not be corrupted. The cry you made was not just heard in the room, it echoed into the spirit world. It interrupted a gathering of shadowy forces that had planned your life in advance. But your light was too strong, too pure, and it caused their scripts to burn. They wanted to delay your spiritual memory, to make you grow up doubting your intuition. But they didn't know that your soul had signed a heavenly agreement. When the time is right, you will remember who you are. Type Amen to get blessing 722. Your birth did not only affect your family, it shifted the atmosphere of your entire region. 3 babies were born still that same night, because the energy was redirected. You were protected, but the balance had to be paid elsewhere. You may have noticed that people either instantly connect with you, or deeply resent you without reason. That's not random. Your energy reminds them of something they lost, or something they failed to be. The woman in silver, the one who visited your crib, left something behind. A strand of her light was embedded into your aura. It activated once when you were a child and stood up for someone who was being hurt. You didn't know why, but you couldn't stay silent. And now? That same strand is glowing again. Type Amen to get blessing 919. Archangel Michael says, there is one more truth that must be told. On the day you were born, a message was sent to someone in another part of the world. That message said, the one has arrived. That person has been preparing ever since. They are not your enemy. They are your mirror. Their purpose connects to yours, and when you meet them, both your memories will deepen. One carries the past, and one carries the future. You carry both. There was a file written about you, not medical, spiritual, and in it were listed 3 tasks you would complete in this lifetime, each one tied to light restoration. The first has already happened, though you didn't know it. The second? It is coming sooner than you expect. Type Amen to get blessing 414. Your mother's silence about your birth was not out of shame. It was out of fear that if she told the truth, it would bring danger. She was right. But what she didn't know is that you were born with armor no enemy could pierce. Even now, she feels it. When she hugs you, her chest tightens. That's not just emotion. It's a soul recognizing what it once carried inside, a divine key, locked in human form. You felt a pressure most of your life, like something is waiting to be done, like a door that hasn't opened. That's because the time wasn't right, but now, the clock has clicked forward. You were always meant to awaken during a time of chaos. Because your clarity only comes when others are confused. That's your signature, bringing direction when all seems lost. Type Amen to get blessing 1717. Your eyes, even as a baby, held an old light. One visitor commented on it and then fell ill for 7 days. They later said they saw their entire life flash just from your gaze. You were only a few weeks old. Your presence dissolves lies. That's why liars avoid you. That's why manipulators get nervous around you. That's why the spiritually blind say, something about you scares me. But you were not sent to comfort darkness. You were sent to end its influence. You were born at a time when a gate was partially open. Few souls had access to it. You were one. That gate closed seconds after your birth, and your arrival was the reason. Type Amen to get blessing 303. There is a reason you've always been drawn to certain numbers, certain names, certain colors. Those are echoes from that day. They were part of the environment in which your spirit last stood before entering flesh. You've experienced griefs that made no sense, as if they weren't fully yours. That's because some of your pain is ancestral. You took it on, not because you were cursed, but because you were strong enough to clear it. You're not just healing your life. You're healing bloodlines. Archangel Michael says, your life is a walking scroll, unfolding page by page in real time. And those who walk beside you will find their own truths rising. Because your energy unlocks others. Type Amen to get blessing 117. Your body has signs, moles, marks, patterns, placed in specific spots to help you recognize your path. Some are maps, some are keys, and one is a signature from a realm where your name is still spoken with honor. You don't just dream, you travel. And in those travels, pieces of your assignment are given to you. That's why sometimes you wake up tired, or inspired, or confused. You've been somewhere. You were never meant to fit. You were meant to lead. Not with ego, but with soul recognition. People follow not because of what you say, but because of what you carry. That thing you carry. It was born the moment you were. Type Amen to get blessing 525. Your name was whispered in a spiritual tongue before you were born. That tongue is no longer spoken on earth, but your soul remembers it. It activates when you're near certain people, certain frequencies, certain truths. The world will try to label you, to box you, to shrink you, but none of those labels stick. Because your destiny is uncontainable. The energy from your birth still echoes. In places you've never visited. In people you've never met. They dream of you without knowing who you are, because your light travels ahead of you. You're not here to survive. You're here to restore. Type Amen to get blessing 808. Your mother may one day tell you fragments. But even if she never does, you now carry the full scroll. It is unsealed, and it belongs to you. There was a moment, just after you were placed in her arms, that time paused. The lights flickered, and in that flicker, your spirit sent out its first wave of light. That wave shattered invisible chains. That light still moves. That wave still spreads. That's why things shift when you enter a room. That's why people confess things to you. That's why animals stare longer than usual. You were seen from the moment you arrived. And now, you will see. Type Amen to get blessing 1001. The veil is not lifting. It's already lifted. Welcome back, chosen one. You never left heaven. You only carried it with you, disguised as a child born on a day no one will ever truly forget. There's something still unraveling from the day you were born, a thread that was hidden deep within your timeline. That thread has now reached the present moment. Heaven kept it concealed until the world was ready for the change your awakening would bring. The atmosphere that surrounded your birth was no ordinary air. It was charged with frequencies not heard by human ears, tones of alignment, truth, and authority. These frequencies attached themselves to your spiritual DNA. This is why you've always been able to sense what's hidden. You detect dishonesty without proof. You feel shifts in energy before events even unfold. That's not imagination, it's the residue of your origin. You were born through the veil, not just into it. Type Amen to get blessing 717. The nurse who held you first reported tingling in her hands for weeks. She said touching your skin felt like electricity wrapped in calmness. She left her job soon after and moved away, never to be heard from again, but not out of fear. She told a friend, "I felt something in that child that shook everything I thought I knew." The hospital lost power just 2 hours after you were born. Only in the wing where you stayed. When it returned, one hallway was flooded with a strange golden light for 6 seconds. There is no footage, it erased itself. The camera above your crib failed to record properly during your first night. Technicians reviewed the footage later and saw only static, except one frame. One blurry frame of a wing. The moment your mother whispered your name for the first time, 3 birds landed on the hospital window. It was 3:33 a.m. They did not move until the sun began to rise. Type Amen to get blessing 1444. There was a spiritual price paid for your arrival, but not by you. Someone in your ancestral line sacrificed their safety so you could come in untouched. That person visits your dreams often, even if you don't recognize their face. That sacrifice created a ripple effect. Some members of your family experienced strange misfortunes after your birth, not because of you, but because the darkness that lost its grip retaliated. You are not the cause, you are the key. Your spirit is an anchor. It holds things together in ways even you don't understand yet. When people are near you, their truths rise to the surface, because your presence doesn't allow lies to settle. That is why some stay close and others run. Type Amen to get blessing 3033. Archangel Michael says, your awakening will bring alignment to a promise made long before you were born. This is not about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you've always been. And once you do, chains will break in places you've never been to. Your body has already begun the process. The tiredness, the sudden urges to be alone, the emotional flashes. These are signs of activation, not confusion. You are entering a period where everything hidden must rise. People around you will start showing their true intentions. Some will try to hide. Some will try to cling. But your path cannot be slowed. You were born for this hour. Type Amen to get blessing 277. The shadow that tried to interfere with your birth still lingers, watching from a distance. But it can no longer touch you. The seals placed on you by divine forces are too powerful, and the being assigned to watch over you has returned to full position. They are closer now, speaking in signals. Watch for repeating numbers. Watch for feathers, flickering lights, and sudden chills that feel like truth brushing against your skin. The more you remember, the stronger you become. The veil weakens with every step forward. And as it tears, so does the influence of those who hoped you'd never realize your calling. Some will not celebrate your rise, because it exposes their hidden agreements. But your light is not up for negotiation. Type Amen to get blessing 2000. The strange things that happened during your early childhood, imaginary friends, hearing whispers, sensing colors, were never accidents. They were remnants of a consciousness that didn't fully disconnect from the spirit realm. You have access to memory gates most forget by age 5. You were marked to be different, and that difference is your weapon. You're not meant to blend, you're meant to shift the atmosphere. You're not meant to follow, you're meant to awaken. There are things your hands can do that you haven't discovered yet. Healing, revealing, protecting. Your touch can activate memories in others. Your words can soften resistance. Your silence can echo louder than shouts. Every part of you was designed with purpose. Type Amen to get blessing 999. Your connection to the woman in silver has not ended. She now walks in and out of the timeline, making adjustments when needed. She is your spirit protector, not an angel, not a human, but a being assigned to bridge the gap between your world and the one before it. She left signs throughout your life, moments of déjà vu, people who spoke strange truths and vanished, animals that stared too long. She's guiding you, even now, to remember what your mother forgot. There was a moment your mother almost told you. She sat on the edge of your bed one night, holding something in her hand, a letter, a photo, a token. But fear made her stop. That item is still somewhere in the house. Type Amen to get blessing 244. You'll be guided to find it when you are ready. There is someone else who knows the truth. An elder. A distant relative. They've carried guilt for years because they witnessed something during your birth and said nothing. They are about to contact you. It may come as a phone call, a message, a dream. But when it comes, listen. Don't question, just receive. Because the final piece is almost here. Type Amen to get blessing 500, and once you receive it, your timeline will bend. Not break, bend. Into a direction you were meant to walk all along. The delays will vanish. The confusion will lift. The heaviness will crack and fall from your shoulders. You will remember the woman in silver. You will remember why you came. You will remember what the veil tried to hide. You will remember who you are. And the world will never be the same again.